Hey everybody, I'm Zack Woods and welcome to the next episode of Uprooted. So glad to have you all here. We really appreciate all the love and support, and we're excited to take you on the journey of this next little cooking infusion. I have my cooking fuel here. Grab yours. If you're gonna cook along, then so be it. It'd be really hard to listen, but feel free to pause, press rewind, and we'll get started. Today, we're gonna be making a dish called Kuku Sabzi, which is a Persian dish that literally translates to herby omelet or herby frittata. You know, I don't speak Persian, so it's a little difficult for me to know exactly. This dish is traditionally eaten during the Persian New Year, which just happened on March 20th, and yeah, it's packed with flavor. I was thinking and processing on what are some really herb-forward dishes I could make, and I also wanted to kind of tilt this particular episode vegetarian, and we landed on this. It is slam-packed with tons of herbs. We have dill, we have parsley, we have cilantro, we have spring onion. I have some yellow onion off in the back. It is loaded. Sabine Nosrat, who we've mentioned a couple of times in the show already, talks about how if you think of a Spanish tortilla or a traditional French frittata as having maybe 2 parts egg to 1 part stuffing, think of this as the exact opposite. So you can see that I have my eggs here already cracked in a bowl. I'm gonna season those, but anyone that knows a darn thing about a frittata or a big baked egg dish knows that this is a very few amount of eggs, and you'd be correct. So what we're gonna do is sort of supplant some of that egg volume with a ton of these herbs, and we're gonna work it into this egg mixture. We're gonna cook it, we're gonna bake it, and we're gonna serve it with some deliciousness. So let me finish up a little bit more chopping, and then I'll add our mixture in. So here, I'm actually just finely running my knife through the dill that I've already pre-prepared. The green onion has already been prepared. I left some of these on in this case, the parsley. I left this curly parsley on the stem just to give everyone a sense of how much stem are we trying to let in. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to get too stemmy, especially on herbs that have a more woody texture. The taste is fantastic. I love parsley in a salad, and you can ask my wife. we eat some parsley stems, but the challenge in a dish like this is you're really looking for sort of a smoother mouthfeel whenever you bite into the dish, and part of that means getting rid of some of the more woody stems that we have. So we're going to chop that up real fine, and then our last little bit of cilantro as well. Again, cilantro, a little bit softer, kind of cool. We can compare and contrast that. Look at this comparison, right? This is a parsley stem. This is a cilantro stem. So you can see we're gonna get punished, our palate's gonna get punished less with that than with that. So if you have a little too much cilantro stem in there, it ain't gonna be the end of the world. And frankly, it won't be the end of the world if you get all the stems in there, because there's so much flavor packed in this, you're only gonna taste the flavor. Come on. Is this epic? This is epic. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to look like a chef. We're gonna go to Chop Town on this. I actually have a backup cutting board, and I may use it. I'm gonna take a big handful of that. There's a cutting board down in my sink, just so I have some more room to work. I know that anyone that actually has a strong background in culinary would be like, you can't finely dice all those herbs in that big of a cutting area. No, I can't, okay? No, I can't, and I don't regret it, all right? So we're gonna give this one more hack down, and that is batch 1. We'll place that into our egg bowl. I'm gonna get this coffee out of the way, and then we'll bring up batch 2. of herbs. Anyone who thought I was diving in a sink, rewind the video back 30 seconds and you'll see that we do in fact have a clean cutting board in there. I know, you all were nervous. So again, I'm just working over this with my knife. In preparation to make this video, I did watch a few different videos online just to kind of see who else had done this. There shockingly weren't that many. Maybe it's the ethnicity of the dish. I have no clue. But one thing was resoundingly consistent. And that one piece of feedback, and obviously if you're in the culinary community, you know that getting resoundingly consistent feedback is a thing that's rare. So I follow it when I hear it. And that was, do not put this in a food processor. When you put this in a food processor, it kind of has the tendency to kind of liquefy your herbs, and you're really looking for these herbs to serve almost as your crunch and your bite when you're taking a big old bite of this bad boy. So we don't want to do that. How gorgeous is that? Let's not get too deep. So I'm going to go grab quickly, and I'll show the crowd. These are some yellow onions and green onions that, as you can see, have gotten super nice and translucent. They probably cooked actively for a good 20 minutes. Total pro tip, these have been off the heat for a solid 30 minutes. The pan is obviously, as you can see, cool to the touch. There's a bay leaf floating around in there, which I don't know what bay leaf does, but it did something, I'm sure, hopefully something delicious. This is cool, and we are gonna add this beautiful sort of sweated down onion mixture into our pan, or into our mixing bowl, I should say. We're fine to leave a little bit of that. We're gonna come back to that guy here in a second. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and start the heat on him just so he can begin warming up. I'm gonna grab just a couple of things out of the pantry to round out my herbs. I'm gonna add a little tarragon. I'm gonna add just a touch of dill weed. So obviously we already have some dill inside of the mixture, but I'm gonna put a little bit more because that was the herb they had leased at the store. So be it. And then a little, probably a half teaspoon of turmeric, along with some nice coarse sea salt, black pepper. It's kind of a medium grind black pepper. We're gonna go tarragon. We'll call this, let's go a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of tarragon. Cool. Oh my gosh, that smells so amazing. That was actually, I gotta say, you know, that was one of my riffs at the grocery last night when I went out in a torrential rainstorm so I could prep for this, because that's safe. I was just kind of perusing around the spice aisle and I thought, tarragon, that's green, like that's herbaceous, let me toss it in there. And I guess the reason I'm telling you that is, folks, make stuff that you just think would be interesting and delicious. Following a recipe to kind of get the general concepts down, fantastic, lots of fun. But ultimately, you're trying to make food that you think is yummy and that you can entertain your friends and family with. And I at least can only personally say, I find that's much more easily achieved when I just pick up a herb that wasn't called for in the recipe, but it will be in ours. So now, I'm just whipping these eggs into our mixture. And again, you can see that this thing is, the eggs are almost like they're just a binder for this whole setup. They're just a binder for this thing. It's not a overly, yeah, there you go. You can start to see it now. Right? You see the yellows of the egg are breaking up. We're getting a cooler consistency there. And I'm confident that when we put this in the pan, that we're gonna get some beautiful color on the bottom. A couple of chefs that talked about this mentioned that they actually try to burn the bottom of this to really intensify the crispiness of the herb mixture that you have in there. So we got that going. We're gonna go over to the oven and cook some more. All right, coming right in. This won't be the only time that you see me using Crisco or a vegetable oil, but it will be one of the few times. The reason I'm doing this is, though I am not sponsored by any olive oil companies yet, grazie, I hope you're listening. It was so strongly encouraged by all the chefs that I saw on the channel use an unflavored, or I like to call an unopinionated oil. Vegetable oil does not have a super strong flavor, unlike this grazie, right, which is technically, you know, considered finishing oil. This is spicy, this is fruity, this is nutty. We're trying to taste dill and cilantro and parsley and other stuff, not olive oil. So unopinionated oil. We're gonna let that oil get nice and warm. Don't be scared of having oil in your pan. As you can see, we've got a good coating amount of oil, and I'm even gonna go with just a touch more, because if we don't put enough oil in this pan, we're gonna have a little bit of burnage that will happen on the sides. So we're really looking for the oil to coat the pan nice and beautifully. Very good. Coming right back. All right, so we have our vegetable oil in the pan, cast iron. It's gonna hold and retain heat super evenly. Our oil is evenly distributed coming up the lip of the pan, and we are just gonna work this bad baby down. All the mixture goes in there. That is smell-o-vision, baby. Holy cow. Let me know when you're ready to eat that. Ooh, okay. That is gorgeous. And as I said before, I've never made this. I have, however, made so many frittatas that any of my friends or family watching this will claim that they're tired of my frittata, which I take, you know, only mildly offensively. I think my frittatas are delish, but this is a new one. I'm not gonna pack this in. I am gonna push it over to the sides, right? I'm just trying to get it so that that heat is hitting all the parts of it. I saw this really cool technique that I'm absolutely going to implement here. And as this is cooking, again, we're at like medium low, right below medium, which is about a 4 on the oven. And now I'm just gonna grab the dirtiest sheet pan you've ever seen. Why is it dirty? Because we cook with it, y'all. Because we cook with it. That's why it's dirty. And, you know, we clean it. We put it in the dishwasher. This thing's going. We don't have a lid that fits our cast iron. Be creative, folks. Take a pan, sit it over the top, and we're gonna wait about 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. We'll lift and check, lift and check. Once we feel like that outside is set and starting to crisp, the middle will still have a little movement. We're gonna turn our oven onto, broil on high, start. When that middle is not quite there, we're gonna put this in maybe 2 minutes, top it with a little bit of walnuts and pistachios and some apricots, and then dish is served. So come back with us in just a few. Not that there's any kind of bad fat, but remember, avocado is indeed the good kind of fat. With that public service announcement out of the way, we are gonna pop into our Kuku Sabzi that's been cooking, call it 10 minutes at a 4 out of 10. You can see we're getting a little bit of brown, right? We're getting a little bit of brown there on the edge. And we're also, look at that. Yeah, I'm excited now. So we've got some sticking. Before this is done, that top needs to get a little bit of the color like the sides. We're gonna pop this into broil on high. for max 2 minutes. Kind of keep tabs on that bad boy, and once it's starting to golden up and crisp, it's gonna be magic. We'll plate it up with some almonds, pistachios, and chopped apricots. Tune in about 2 minutes, and we'll be ready to rock. All right, folks, we're gonna go fetch our Kuku Sabzi out of the oven. It's been on broil on high for 3.5 minutes. There's no magic science. We're looking for crispy deliciousness. So let me pull this bad boy out of the oven. We are going live. We made a commitment off camera that I'm gonna do the flip and rip all live, because I want y'all to know that sometimes it works magically when you home cook, but sometimes you end up botching it, and I hope that I got it right. So I'm just running my spatula around the outside of my plate. I can see that I have good adhesion. Oh, guys, I might not even have to do, I'm going for it. I'm just going straight in. That's it. That's it. Come on now. Victory! That feels really good. So, last things last, we're gonna sprinkle this bad boy with some toasted walnuts and pistachios. Toasted walnuts and pistachios. We also have some beautiful dried apricots. There, bada bing. Beautiful dried apricots. And guys, I cannot wait. I'm gonna cut in, we're gonna plate up, we're gonna call it a day on the Kuku Sabzi, folks. So we'll go there. We'll go there. Wow, okay. Okay, if you really want to have your guests come back in the future, give them a few extra apricots, let them know you love them. I'm totally remiss that I didn't custom make you all a bunch of labna, which is a traditional Mediterranean cheese yogurt, but I think this will do. As obligatory, I think I have to take a bite. I may break the fourth wall and give Nigel a bite of this deliciousness. Just to show off, look at the color, right? That ain't burnt, baby, that's Flavor Town. Folks, thanks so much for joining us on Uprooted. Catch us next time to follow along on the journey. Like, subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, where we keep this series going. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. All of the links, including the Bask Retreat Center web domain, all in the description below. We're so excited to have you all here and appreciate your time, attention, and commitment to a healthier way of living. Peace.